So, what if your job wasn't just a job, but a calling? And what if the real secrets to wealth were hidden in plain sight, in scriptures thousands of years old? That's exactly what we're diving into today, the incredible teachings of Myron Golden, who connects ancient biblical wisdom to modern-day success. We're going to unpack his key lessons so you can really get them, use them, and even pass these powerful ideas on to others.
So here's the game plan. We're going to break down 4 huge ideas. First, we'll talk about how to see your workplace as a place of ministry. Then we're going to decode the surprising biblical meaning of wealth. After that, we'll uncover the hidden purpose behind your past struggles. And finally, we'll look at how to tend to that creative genius that's already inside you.
All right, let's jump right into our first big idea. This one completely tears down the wall we build between our work life and our spiritual life. It basically says they're one and the same.
Myron Golden kicks things off with this really powerful reframe. He points out that even Jesus did his ministry out in the marketplace, not just in the synagogue. So your business, your 9-to-5, your craft, that isn't separate from your calling. It is your calling. It's all a form of ministry.
And it all comes down to something so simple you might miss it. At its heart, the word ministry just means to serve. That's it. Once you get that, everything else clicks into place. It changes your work from being just a task to being an actual act of service.
So this really breaks it down into 2 different mindsets, right? You've got the self-serving model, where your goal is just to get money from people. Or you've got the problem-solving model, where you become obsessed with actually helping people and fixing their problems. That second path, that's true ministry. And funnily enough, it's also the real path to success. Okay, so if our work is about service, what about wealth? Well, that leads us right into our second lesson. And to really get it from a biblical view, we've got to start with a single, really important number.
And that number is 8. Now, according to Myron Golden, this number is the absolute key to unlocking a much deeper understanding of what wealth and abundance really mean in the scriptures.
Okay, I know what you're thinking. 8? What on earth does the number 8 have to do with any of this? How does this one little number connect to big ideas like prosperity and purpose?
Well, it turns out, in the Bible, the number 8 is just loaded with meaning. It stands for abundance, a new beginning, eternity. I mean, if you just turn it on its side, it's literally the symbol for infinity. It's all about endlessness and new life.
And here's where it all clicks together. Myron Golden points out that gold, the one thing that has always symbolized wealth, is mentioned exactly 8 times in the book of Genesis. Now, that is not a coincidence. It's tying the very idea of wealth directly to this symbolism of abundance and eternity.
And each time gold shows up, it's teaching us something new. First, it's about providence, the idea that God provides it ahead of time. Then, it's about possession, with Abraham being called very rich in gold. It also acts as proof of God's blessing. And finally, it's about provision, like when Joseph gets gold to help his people. You see, it's not just stuff, it's a tool with a real purpose. Now, that idea of purpose is the perfect bridge to our next big lesson, which is all about how our past, even the really hard parts, is actually preparation. And there's no better example of this than the story of Joseph.
I mean, just look at Joseph's life. On the surface, it looks like a total disaster, right? He shares his dream and his brothers hate him for it. They sell him into slavery. Then he gets wrongfully thrown in prison, and then he's just forgotten there. But every single one of those painful moments was actually a step he had to take to get to his destiny.
And this is where Myron Golden drops this incredible insight. He says the pain of your past is protecting somebody's future. It wasn't just for you. The struggles you went through, they weren't random. They were forging you into the person that someone else in the future is going to need you to be.
So, the big takeaway here is this. Nothing was an accident. Every single thing that happened on your path, the good and the bad, was necessary. It was all designed to make you strong enough to handle your destiny when it finally arrives.
Okay, so our past prepares us, but for what? What's the engine that's actually going to get us there? And that brings us to our final and maybe most important lesson, nurturing that unique creative gift that was planted inside every single one of us.
Check out this study. It's kind of mind-blowing. They tested people for creative genius levels. At age 5, 98% of kids test at a genius level of creativity. But by age 15, it drops to just 12%. And by the time we're adults, a measly 2%. So, what happens? Where does it all go?
Well, the thing is, we don't lose it. It gets buried.
We are literally programmed out of our God-given creativity. We're taught to conform, to fit in, and worst of all, to compare ourselves to everybody else. And that makes us stop trusting the unique gift we were given.
And this is where Myron Golden uses this beautiful analogy. He says, the gardener is also a garden. Think about it. God put man in the Garden of Eden to tend to it, right? But he also planted a creative seed inside of man. You're not just here to work in the world, you're also a garden that's meant to be cultivated from the inside out.
So what do we do about it? How do we get that gift back? Well, Golden lays out 3 really clear steps. First, trust it. Stop searching for your gift. You already know what it is. You just have to trust it. Second, water it. You have to feed your mind with things that will help that gift grow. And third, own it. Completely. Stop comparing yourself to anyone else because nobody else in the history of the world can do the specific thing you were created to do.
And that leaves us with this final, really powerful question to think about. When you stop looking outside for answers and you start tending to that garden that's inside you, what incredible fruit are you going to bring into the world?